So, welcome back to TEL'S today. Today is T4 time, and we're playing with this 2.5 long wheelbase T4 transporter. Job to do on this today is the alternator has failed, so it needs to be replaced. It hasn't completely failed. What it's actually done is the regulator's gone, so it's low voltage and the voltage of bounce is bouncing all over the place, so that needs to be replaced. Reason being, which has caused damage to the alternator, is this van is running a split charge system and the battery in the back died, and then it's drawn too much current from the alternator and basically toasted the alternator, so it needs a new alternator. So we're going to do that. Also, we are going to have a go at trying to upgrade this van as well. So this is another thing we're going to try and do. This is fitted with a small little 90 amp alternator, which most of them are, because obviously they were only made to be vans. They had no electric windows or no other gizmos in them, so they were fitted with very small alternators, 90 amps, which isn't really good enough when you're trying to run like all the stuff in the back and trying to run like a split charge system. You need a more oomph alternator. So what we're actually going to try and do is we're going to try and fit a 120 amp alternator. So what I've done is I got my local car parts distributor to order in a load of alternators. There were 6 different alternators that could fit this van, and then all the amperages, and I went and had a look, checked out all the fittings, measured up, checked all the plugs and everything, and found one that's got the same fitments. The pulley is offset at the same distance from the actual brackets, and the terminals are the same on the back of the alternator. So theoretically it should bolt straight on and be a direct replacement. So that is what we're going to have a go at doing today. So our first job when you're doing this job is obviously you're playing around with power. So first things first, you've got to disconnect the battery. So let's get it work. Well, here we go, we're underneath the motor now. Now I've already taken the battery terminal off and I've undone all the bolts that hold the alternator on. Now what I've done is I've left them in so you can see where they are. So you can see this bolt here, so there's one here, and then you can see the slightly blue one just above it, which is over there, yeah, somewhere straight up, which is right up here, hanging out. There you go, both hanging out, you can see them. So they're the bolts hold it on. Now I noticed when I was doing this, I tried to back the tension off but it wouldn't move, so then I yanked on the belt and then the belt's gone slack, so the tensioner has actually seized itself in place. So we'll take the main 2 bolts out now. So that's that one, that's the other one. So they're the 2 bolts that actually hold the alternator on. Now at the moment, as you notice, I've taken the main bolts that hold it on off and it hasn't fallen off, and that's because there's these sliding dowels on it to actually locate it and make the alternator tight on the actual main fitting, on the main actual block mounting, which when you're tying it up you'll feel it go tight, and then they kind of make a little crack noise as they move through, and then it takes up all the free play. Also, I will quickly manoeuvre around the back, so we'll come around here and then you can see the terminals that I've taken off of up here. So here they go. So these are the terminals around the back. So we've got the main power terminal off here. We've got this little stud here with a little M8 on that. That's held on by an M3. So we'll tuck that out of the way. And then right up the top here, we have the main sensory wire, which obviously tells the dash that the alternator is spinning, turns off your battery light. So now that's off, we'll tuck that over there. So theoretically now, all I should have to do is wiggle that out. So put it back over there. Up there. So theoretically now I should be able to get my lever bar, like so. There it goes. Right, now I've got the bottom one out, all I've got to do is just wiggle it, and then it will slowly but surely pull off the other mounting, and then the alternator will fall off. And here we go. She's off. Oh yeah. we have it. Here we have our alternator right here. Get it from that angle, I think that'd be nice. So this is our little alternator. Now on the back you've got your part number which sits here. It also tells you 90A, telling me that that is a 90 amp alternator. Now the main fixings are these two here and here. Now remember I said about these sliding collars, here they are here. So as you bolt up, these adjust through, because obviously they can't get the dimensions within so much of a thou. So what they do is they make this type of system, so as you bolt them up, these pull through these little holes and then take the free play up and then allow it to hold this tight to the block. And there you go, there's the alternator, the old one off anyway. Now this is the new 90 amp alternator, which is a direct replacement which I bought. But what we're going to do is I've also got this one. And this one is even bigger. So if I were to stand this one and this one next to each other, you can definitely see, let's get this dead one out of the way. You can definitely see this one is bigger than this one, because this one is the 120 amp and it's this one that we're going to be fitting. Now I know for a fact that all the brackets are the same, so this point and this point are the same. Also the measurement from here, so if you imagine put a straight edge, then turn that pulley and then measure down to the bottom side of this bracket, the dimensions are the same. So theoretically this is a direct replacement. It will take the place of this one, go straight on, and we'll have a better charging system. Also check the rotation. I have an arrow on this one, it shows you, which is there, shows you the direction that the actual alternator should be spinning. Simple as really. And also when we turn it to the back, I'll put this one over here, this one over here as well, like so. The terminals are identical. Check, got 2 pins on the inside, and actually the actual bolt terminal for the main power cable is in the same position. So this is a direct replacement. So we're going to pick the 90 amp back up, put that back in our box. And there we go. Now this is what we're going to be fitting. Now as you can see, these fittings are actually pushed back. So if you look at these ones, if you look, these ones are pulled through and these ones are back. That's because this is set ready to be fitted to a new motor. Now if you're fitting a second-hand alternator, you might find that you might have to push these back. Easy way to do it, put a socket on the back, nut through the middle, wind it up, and it'll slowly pull it through. Just make sure you clean them up first, because they get corroded and they snag in the actual housing. You can crack the housing. Simple as. Right, let's go for refit. First thing first, let's get the nail on. She's in now. And that. Can go on there. There we have it, new alternator's in place. Then what we got to do is we've got to put the main power cable back on, bolt up these main brackets. There we go. Right, okay, so we have this 8mm retainer and we have the main power connector. And we take off this bit. So and this goes on here, that goes on there. My brush, give that a clean up, pull that off. So put that on there, that on there, get on there. So that goes on there. And we put the spring washer on, as so, and the bracket and the nut. You don't have to do them up epically tight, you just have to nip them. Get the retainer, the main power cable, get that on. There you go. Damn! Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There. Is that? That goes tight, so get that on there. That's that on. That off. Get this main connector on. That's that. Now, obviously I've got a bit of a problem with my tensioner, so that's going on like so. I'll get this on the top, so that on the bottom. But theoretically, you would pull that belt on, slacken your tension off, pull that belt on. Now obviously because my tensioner is seized up, I've now got to slacken that off, which is going to be an interesting one. But theoretically, I'm hoping if I douse it in WD, push it back, and then pull it, keep moving it forwards and backwards, eventually it should slacken off and it should move by itself and I should be able to free it off. So that's what I'm hoping, so which I'm going to have a go at in a minute. But the main alternator's on, as you see. tight. But you pull on it, it doesn't go back by itself. Right, I've got to keep having to jiggle around with this until I get it to work, and I right. Well, I'm going to keep having to jiggle around with this tensioner until I get it to move properly. Once I've got it to move properly, I'll come back and I'll show you it moving how it should be. Hot today, she's cooking. Right, so I had a bit more of a play around with this tensioner. I managed to get the belt reasonably tight. Problem is, if you do still pull on it, it doesn't back itself back off. It doesn't re-tension itself. So this fan will need a new tensioner. But for the time being, it's holding itself tight. So I'll have to get hold of the person who owns it, the customer, and tell them that it needs a new tensioner, and then we'll be doing that as well. But there you go, alternator's on anyway. That's a 120 amp alternator that is on there, so it's had an actual upgrade and modification. Rather than the little 90, it's been upgraded to a 120 amp alternator, so that should have plenty of power to power the split charge system now, and like all the other bits inside the van, all the lighting and all the other bits and pieces that she's got in there. So, but yeah, there you go. I hope that's been helpful anyway. So to get the alternator off, there's a bolt here, another bolt at the top, so two main body bolts which are 13mm heads. Then you've got a 13mm holding the main power cable on, a little 8mm holding like a little bracket which kind of secures the cable to the body, and then we have a plug, a 1-pin plug which sits at the top. And there you go. Also look out for cheap brands. You can normally tell the cheaper brands because they are straight buy outright. There's no refurb on them. You can always normally tell a good unit because it's a remanufactured, or if you're trying to buy it brand new, it costs an absolute fortune. So if you find that you're getting one and it's got no refurb and it's cheaper than the actual refurbished one, good possibility is it's a rubbish unit. So try to go for good quality. Lucas, try to stick with Lucas, Bosch. There's another company I called Remy, like Delco Remy. You can try going with them, or try to find someone that actually rebuilds them themselves. There are a couple of people still laying about here and there, very few and far between, but they do still exist, and that's also a good option, and normally a lot cheaper. Like there used to be some bloke over in Thanet, he used to charge about 40 quid to refurb an alternator, put new bearings in it, new brushes, new regulator and everything, completely overhaul it. When you think about this unit here, this was almost £200, this unit. So yeah, a lot cheaper and save you a lot of money. The main thing obviously when you're trying to get someone to refurb your original unit, it can take a couple of days. So if you can do without the van for a couple of days, brilliant. Have a hunt about, get someone to refurb it for you rather than buying it off the shelf. Well anyway, hope that's been helpful. If it has, please like and subscribe. And we've got a couple of more bits and pieces with T4s as well. Yeah, so I'm still refurbing mine at the moment, so which is outside, which needs a lot of love. And yeah, I've got the engine out of my one as well, which is sat on the shelf over there, and so on and so on. But yeah, anyway, hope this has been helpful. Please like and subscribe if it has. I'll keep doing what I'm doing. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.